Okay, so what is iOS? This presentation is about unmasking the secrets behind Apple and how to become an A-plus software developer. I mean, seriously, the company for most of the public is just this big white or black box, whatever color you want it to be, a big mystery, but nonetheless, most of us enjoy the products that it has to offer. Now you say, why do I care? There's no funny cat videos. So let's just say the reason that you should pay attention to this presentation, other than you probably have to, is one, you want to impress your friends and family with awesome knowledge. Two, you want to make lots of money being a successful software developer. Hello, grad school. But really, number three, in all seriousness, you want to learn something about the Mac OS and iOS architecture that could help you fulfill number one and two. So lots of money, success, and there's no cat videos involved at all. Let's start from the beginning. So Apple, a company that was started by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne on April 1st, 1976 in California. A company that is quoted as revolutionary and genius. Apple and the mainstream media have built the company as being the leader in cybersecurity, stability, and robustness. Everyone from your next door neighbor to your great Aunt Judy during Christmas vacation will tell you how great it is. Of course, there are many skeptics, and not everyone buys into it. Nonetheless, it still has a very positive reputation even today. So some of the major products include the traditional MacBook, iMac, which is the desktop equivalent to the laptop, as well as some of our more obsolete products, including the original iPod, as well as some of our heavily used products, especially including the iPad, the iPhone, as well as some more unique products, including the Apple TV and more. So most of this information in this presentation, just from a disclaimer, especially from a trivia fact standpoint, was acquired from Wikipedia, and the images are from Google Images. They are not my own. Just wanted to get that started at the beginning of this presentation. So now on to some sciencey bits. So some technical review of some published works that I will briefly summarize some of the details that I covered in the report. So all the fatal flaws and a case study approach. Yes, your Hollywood idol, America's highly valued company, is not immune to software bugs and flaws. In fact, it is incredibly susceptible to a lot of vulnerabilities. So let's start with a couple of examples. So back in 2011, two researchers from the University of Texas in Edinburgh did a brief study on Apple's Leopard operating system, which was initially released back in like the mid 2000s, versus Microsoft's Windows XP. And the XP Service Package 2 was actually released also around the same time in the mid 2000s. It turns out Mac OS X 10.5 Leopard has some serious vulnerabilities. Man, it's a good thing I didn't own that one. I was far too young. So mostly the scope of the study entails denial of service or DOS attacks on multiple layers of the software architecture, layers 2 through 4 to be more precise, as well as the different attack types that actually resulted in drastically different results. So in summary, the reason for this huge disparity is Apple was just not up to par. Apple's Leopard operating system had unbounded growth for its pages, allowing the dynamic memory allocation to get out of control. While on contrast, in comparison, the Windows XP actually had a bounded constraint on memory allocation. And so the CPU utilization was actually capped at 50%. In the initial study, Apple's Leopard OS actually crashed within just a few minutes of the simulated attack scenario, while the Windows XP was did not crash at all and kind of stabilized. And now you're saying, what the heck are you talking about? Let's get to the details. So, some of the four main attack methods that were reviewed in the study include the ping pong flood attack, as well as the corresponding firewall systems enabled, the Smurf attack, the ICMP attack, and TCP SYN attacks. In each of these cases, you can actually see that after a certain number of transmissions, you can see this is actually a logarithmic chart. In the first one, you'll see that the traffic transmission, again, the CPU processor utilization levels up out about 50% for the Windows XP, while it actually goes and grows to about 90% CPU utilization for the home base Mac Leopard architecture. And very similar trends can be observed for the other three Smurf, ICMP attack, as well as TCP SYN attacks. So this just shows that looks can be deceiving, and there are and were, I guess, significant vulnerabilities in this avenue for a particular operating system. It should be noted that Apple has thus patched this vulnerability, and is modern versions of the operating system, later versions that have been released, no longer exhibit this behavior. And lastly, I should mention that in this study, in order to make sure that you're very much strictly observing only the software performance and not incorporating any hardware differences, is that the test subject computers were both the exact same iMac model, but the Windows XP software was actually installed on it for the purposes of this study. Now, on to some more sciencey bits, but on a different note. More sciencey bits. Yes, seriously, people get PhDs in this. I'm so impressed. So this is just a very brief review. So in my next study, case study number 2, reviewed some of the vulnerabilities of iOS devices and its apps. Some of the major key points from this study include 90% of the set of mobile apps reviewed were vulnerable to some sort of attack. 97% accessed sensitive and or personal identifying information, 86% had privacy-related risks, and 91% of the most popular iOS apps employed at the time of publication had some sort of risky behavior, including location tracking, as well as access to personal identifiable information. So that being said, things are pretty dangerous out there. So now, lastly, on to the fun stuff. Let's wind it back a little bit. So it should be noted that some of the major apps that exhibited these vulnerabilities include very common apps like Western Union, PayPal, and a Commonwealth bank from the country of Australia. Now, actually, onto the fun stuff. Is Apple really reinventing the wheel? Do we need to? You can see that from Apple's development environment that there are a variety of platforms that employ the different avenues of information. So as a prospective developer, you want to maybe build an iOS app or an iPad or Mac or even a watch or TV app. Who knows? Whatever is working for you. Apple offers a major plethora of information in the form of APIs. It's got a very extensive developers resources on their online web services. And it turns out it really is a world of its own. It has both, for example, a common framework, aka contacts list, is available and implemented the same way across almost every single OS, from the iOS, iPad, or Mac, and to the watch. This makes a lot of sense in how the seamless environment is integrated together. And many of the steps that the company is taking to moving forward include the Mac Catalyst, which is a platform that actually allows for seamless cross development of iPad and iPhone apps to the Mac environment. And so this allows developers to develop one base program without having to necessarily recompile and reconfigure everything. So, in summary, marketing can be deceiving and there's lots of security holes to be exposed. It's not a perfect company. So, lessons learned include remaining diligent as a customer and a user, better practices for software developers, especially in cybersecurity. And as a last note, keep on improving. We can never be too diligent. All right, thanks. That's it. My name is Kbat. This was filmed December 12th, 2021, and all images from this presentation are from Google Images and their respective sources, and all technical information cited is from the respective publications that were cited in the actual full report. Thank you.